Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James. Guys, the channel that brings you your team every day, the team that brings you all the latest news and opinions from the greatest team in the world, Rangers FC. Guys, we're going to talk this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, obviously depends when you are watching and catching the latest content, about Joan Jordan, the latest on that deal. We're going to also talk a little about the Champions League as well, which is starting to come into focus with the draw in next week. First thing, of course, though, to do, remember, guys, if you don't want to miss out on any of this content, it's free, doesn't cost you a penny. Smash that sub, ring the notification bell, then you'll never miss out on any of the videos or any of the podcasts, which we're having quite a lot at this moment in time. Well, look, Rangers quite clearly do need another number 6. They need a ball winner. They need a CDM. They need someone who can get the ball, turn the ball back over quickly, and then release players like Conor Barron, players like Mohamed Diamande, Nicholas Raskin to go and be creative, to go and ruin the opposition, to go and destroy, to go and really create those chances for the forward players. This season, even more so. There's to break down that low block, get that ball forward. And not only that, but in Europe, win that ball back and retain possession. As we know, in Europe, retaining the ball is so vitally important. And of course, out-battling, out-muscling and out-fighting Celtic in our Old Firm clashes this coming season. Now, one player that Rangers seemingly had identified as a possible target was 30-year-old Spanish central defensive midfield player, Europa League winner, a guy with vast experience, is Joan Jordan. He's 30 years old. He is a CDM. He can also play central midfield. He can also play attacking midfield. He can play a number of positions, but he very much is in that mould of a ball winner, someone to turn that ball over very quickly. It does seem that Rangers have moved on now from Kenny McLean, who looks like more likely to be joining Sheffield United in the Championship. Moving on from his club Norwich to Sheffield United, who do have money to spend given the fact that they have parachute payments after being relegated from the Premier League. So Joan Jordan seems to have been identified. Now, Philippe Clement clearly wants this guy, clearly sees this guy as being someone who could be key to his midfield, key to him having a midfield that can dominate and control games, something that at times last season we really did miss. Now, we've already added Mohamed Diamande in January, who looks a fantastic player. We've added Conor Barron, who also looks a top talent. Nicholas Raskin as well. Injured again now, but hopefully fighting his way back from that injury, also looks a very good player too. So, it's all about getting that midfield dominance back, particularly in those Old Firm games where last season we did lose the midfield battle on several occasions to Hatate, McGregor and O'Reilly. But I do feel that Jordan is someone who could come in and really make that difference. Now, obviously, the only concern over Jordan is his age. He is 30 years old. Now, initially, Rangers were looking at a loan deal for Joan Jordan. Apparently, the initial offer they made to Sevilla was that Rangers would pick up 30% of his wages and Sevilla would pay 70%. This was utterly unacceptable to Sevilla, and they said no to this. At the time as well, Jordan also indicated that he wanted to remain in Spain, wanted to remain in La Liga with Sevilla. That, of course, now all appears to have changed, and we'll speak about why that has changed in a moment. It has changed. There's been a major development on the Jordan front. So if we look at across his career and what he's done, as you can see, all his experience in terms of league football comes playing in La Liga for Sevilla. He's also played for Espanyol as well. So he's made 219 appearances in La Liga, scored 14 goals with 18 assists, played over 15,000 minutes in La Liga. He's also played in La Liga 2. He's played in the Copa del Rey. He's also played 21 games in the UEFA Champions League as well. So he carries a vast European experience, over 1,000 minutes of Champions League football. Also 18 appearances and a goal in the Europa League, over 1,000 minutes of Europa League football, and 2 UEFA Super Cup appearances. So, he's someone that comes with a very good CV, a very good backstory, very good experience at playing at all different levels and coping with football at all different levels. This is a guy who, if he hadn't been able to cope, he wouldn't have been picked by Sevilla, who have, won the Europa League, virtually made the Europa League their own whenever they've been in it. Certainly been a very talented player for them. Now, it's been decided by their manager and their sporting director. Now, their manager is a guy called Garcia Pimienta, and their sporting director is former Leeds sporting director Victor Orta. They've decided that Jordan is now surplus to requirements and has no future at Sevilla. Orta says in an interview that Jordan's future lies away from the club. Pimienta has left him out of the pre-season squad, especially for play the first game. They're playing the wonderfully named Orlando Pirates very soon indeed. And the Sevilla said that he will not play a single minute of pre-season football for Sevilla, meaning that the likelihood of him playing any football in La Liga, in the Copa del Rey, or in Europe is virtually zero, none. Now, Rangers did appear to be looking at another loan deal for Jordan, but this time off. Sevilla were looking for a 50-50 split minimum deal to bring him to the club. So 50-50, they pay 50% of his wages, we pay 50% of his wages. The concern there was that in his contract with Sevilla, he was on an eye-watering £58,000 a week, which would break down to Rangers paying £29,000 a week and Sevilla paying £29,000 a week. Now, the loan deal doesn't appear to be off the table as of yet, but it does appear that Sevilla very much favour moving Jordan out of the club. Now, whether that could be done by engineering a loan with an obligation to buy, which would kick the money to pay down the road, which would obviously help out with the fact we've got a shortness of funds at this moment in time. Now, bringing in someone like Jordan and bringing him in now would certainly help the club in terms of that Champions League qualifiers, which we will talk about towards the end of the video. The concern, like I said, is the fact that he's 30. How long a contract are you going to give a 30-year-old? This is a 2-year deal maximum. You're taking him to 32, but then, the guy walks for nothing. But I suppose the situation is that at times you've got to kind of have players who are not trading model, that are not going to be players who are going to kind of earn you money. That is just the way it has to happen at times with players who are perhaps more experienced and older. And that perhaps is the direction that Rangers are looking with Jordan. Now, the transfer market values it around €3.5 million, which is about £3 million. The stumbling block would appear to be over wages. He is on £58,000 a week at Sevilla. It is very 99.9% doubtful that Rangers would pay him £58,000 a week. With their top wage earner being on £38,000 a week, £37,000 a week in Connor Goldson, many people feel that is way too much. Many people feel that paying Tavernier £30,000 a week is way too much. So it's highly doubtful that Rangers would be able to offer him an exceptionally lucrative contract. And that could be the stumbling block in terms of bringing him to the club on a loan with an obligation to buy or an option to buy this season. It's certainly worth exploring. I'm sure Niels Koppen is looking into it. It's clear that Philippe Clement even has identified him as a player that he likes, as a player that he thinks could do a job for Rangers. So, look, it's a possibility. He's the type of player we need. He's the type of player that I think this midfield needs. It needs a ball winner. It needs someone who can do the dirty stuff. With the departures of Jack and Lundstrom, obviously Kamara the season before, we haven't really got someone who can do that. And for me, when you want to win a midfield battle, you need someone who can do that dirty stuff, who can cover, who can, fill in for the fullbacks, who has that understanding. And it's quite clear with the number of years this man has played that he has that experience to read the game well, to distribute the ball well. The concerns, like I said, are his age, his wages, and of course, the fact that he's never played outside of Spain. But look, he is a player who is clearly, someone who could make a difference. One of the journalists for Sky Sports was talking about Jordan going to Rangers. That is the Sky Sports journalist Bardell, who is someone who talks about Spanish football, Dan Bardell, who talks about Spanish football for Sky. He said it was always difficult for Rangers to pull in players from big leagues, and there's no doubt Liga is one of those because, of course, the wage differences and the difference in the statuses of the leagues. Obviously, Liga is seen as one of the big five in Europe. He went on to say if they could sign Jordan, he'll bring European experience, which could boost Rangers for another European campaign. Rangers will be looking at every market possible and are clearly looking to add quality in the centre of midfield. If they can get someone like Jordan in with great experience for cheap outlay, then I can't see why they would push forward with that deal. So it's clear that, that he is expecting something to be negotiated, to be at least looked into by the club. And this is coming from a reputable source in Sky Sports. This is not coming from your football insiders or, and so on and so forth. This is coming from Sky Sports, a reputable source. He's someone that he clearly rates. He's someone that he's seen play. I think that he could be a big positive for Rangers. So it's one to keep an eye on. It could all fall by the wayside, like a number of deals have done over the last few weeks, months. Like I said on the podcast last night, the Gdalmes deal has completely died, with Gdalmes agreeing to go to a Russian club for 3 years. We saw the Kabadai deal die when he went to Augsburg, and so on. And the Cordoba deal when he went to Norwich. So we've seen deals die, and this could well do that, given the fact that Greek clubs are also interested. West Ham at one point were interested in past seasons in Jordan. So this lad's clearly not a duffer at all. Okay, so let's move it along. Let's talk a little bit of Champions League, guys. But first of all, obviously, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll give those comments a good read. Okay, so let's get on and talk a little bit Champions League. Okay, so the Champions League draw is on Monday. Yes, Monday the 22nd of July. Rangers will find out their opponents in the third qualifying round. We are 2 rounds away from the league phase. It is a competition we must qualify for, a competition that kind of, holds a financial pot that could really help this club move forward, that could aid development of this squad, that could aid the rebuild, that could help us bring in players that perhaps we weren't planning to be able to afford, or that we were planning to, and we were depending on Champions League money to get. The new format of 32 teams is an absolute money spinner, with teams playing 8 league games, 4 at home, 4 away, more home match day revenue coming into the club. Again, it's all about generating that extra money, more TV money, more potential to get bonuses, coming into the club. The Champions League is an absolute money spinner. Now, I know there's a certain PTSD around the Champions League when it comes to Rangers fans, given the debacle last time we were in the Champions League, where we were absolutely embarrassing. A lot of that was, of course, down to injuries, down to players being absent. So, I can understand why it didn't go as well as we would have hoped it to have gone. But it's, this time, I think that this would be a completely different story. Philippe Clement is someone who would tactically set this team up to be a success in the Champions League. This is a guy who has got good results against top European sides, as Bruges and Genk, got results against Real Madrid, against Dynamo Kiev, against Zenit St. Petersburg, against AC Milan with Genk and Bruges. This is no mug in European competition. So this is certainly someone who can do a job in the Champions League. So look, I think we need to put to one side that worry about us not being able to cope with the Champions League. Yes, at this moment in time, I would be super honest with you. I don't think the squad is good enough. So I do think there will be a need to obviously try and add a few players before the deadline. Now, the first fixture is the 6th of August. So the league, I would suggest that, within the next couple of weeks, the squad is going to have to be confirmed. So if any players are going to be brought in for Champions League, it needs to be sooner rather than later. So when Monday clicks around, we will find out who our opponents are going to be. Now, because we are seeded in this tournament, due to the fact that we have an excellent European coefficient, ranked 28th in Europe, some 41 places higher than Celtic. Yes, that's right, Celtic. And no, it's not the coefficient cup. It just means that we've done a lot better in Europe than you, and you've been an embarrassment in Europe. That's what it actually means. I know you can't get your thick heads around that. I know, from the comments I had on TikTok when I published the league tables, and you came back with, well done, you've won the coefficient cup. You don't really understand it, because it's maths. It's complicated for Celtic fans, and the one brain cell that they have is shared around the fans, isn't it? And then the officials that run the club. Now, in theory, it should be an easier draw because of the fact we're seeded. We will avoid top-seeded sides like Slavia Prague, Red Bull Salzburg, and the French team Lille. However, we will play one of 6 sides in the third qualifying round, with Union Saint-Gilloise, FC Twente, who were reportedly interested in Sam Lammers, Lugano or Fenerbahce, Dynamo Kiev or Partizan Belgrade as possible opponents. Now, Union Saint-Gilloise, who we faced 2 years ago, I think it was, and Twente have already qualified for this. The winners of Lugano, Fenerbahce, Dynamo Kiev, Partizan will join the draw. Now, this is tough. It is tough. Whichever one of those teams you get, it's going to be tough, isn't it? I mean, Union Saint-Gilloise are one of the top teams in Belgium now. Certainly no mugs. Yes, we have beaten them before, so that does stand in good stead. Twente, again, yes, they have a substantially lower budget than us, which is incredible. They pay a lot less to their players than we do, which is not incredible. But are still, one of the top teams in Dutch football. They finished 3rd, I think it was, last year in the Eredivisie, so they're clearly no mugs. Fenerbahce are now coached by Jose Mourinho, which of course brings with it the whole circus and drama around that. You know, he would have the team set up, and it would be an exceptionally tough game if we have to go to Turkey as well. Always tough there. Could face our former player Ryan Kent as well. I always think of Roy Kent when I think that. Dynamo Kiev, Partizan Belgrade. Obviously, you know, we play Dynamo Kiev. The game's not going to be in Kiev. It will be at a neutral venue, but it's still going to be tough. Partizan Belgrade, again, will be another tough one. Now, if Rangers were fortunate enough to get through that, this would give them a go into the playoff round of the Champions League, win that, and you get into the group stage. It is going to be very, very hard indeed. Now, the third qualifying draw, like I said, is the 22nd. That's Monday. So, you know, that's where we're up to. That's where it is at this moment in time. Now, if Rangers should progress beyond the qualifying round, then they will enter the playoff round of the Champions League, like I said. If Rangers were to lose in the third qualifying round, they would drop into the Europa League playoff round. Not straight into the leagues, into the playoff round of the Europa League. A loss in the playoff round would then put us straight into the Europa League phase. You know, realistically, I don't want to play in the Europa League this year. It's Champions League or bust. If we don't get in the Champions League, for me, then it's all about focusing on the league, focusing on the cups, and doing as well as we can domestically. Plus, you know, a playoff round in the Europa League is going to be equally as tough as a playoff round in the Champions League. You've just got to look at some of the teams that are in the Europa League this season. So it's 22nd. We will bring you news of the draw here on the channel. Guys, let me know what you think. Which of those teams would you rather face? Which of those teams would you not want to face? Just to repeat, Union Saint-Gilloise, it is Twente, Fenerbahce, Lugano. Whoever wins that one, Kiev or Partizan Belgrade. Let me know who you'd like to face out of those teams and who you wouldn't like to face. Personally, would hate to face Mourinho and Fenerbahce. He's just one of those managers that knows how to win in Europe. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, please smash that sub, help the channel to keep on growing. Remember, we're aiming for 6,000 subs by the Celtic game on the 1st of September, and if we can get to 10k by New Year's Eve, there will be a prize for one of 10,000 subscribers. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. Please smash that sub, and on the way out, as always, 2 jobs I ask of you. Number 1, smash the like, and number 2, remember always, we are the people.